Our RTC chairs who are here this evening, and also our first selectman for a minute I forgot what town I was in because I've been traveling to so many towns, but Avon and Canton, I'm very pleased to be here tonight to speak to all of you. I've been asked, why in the world would you want to run for the United States Senate, given the state of our country and where it is today? And what do you think you can accomplish being a United States Senator? You've never run for public office. You've never held public office. You're not familiar with politics. How in the world are you going to get the job done? I decided to run for the United States Senate because I just couldn't sit on the sidelines anymore and watch where our government and our administration was taking our country. Just as you heard from the candidates for governor tonight, relative to the situation in our state. Unfortunately, that mirrors the situation in our country. We are overburdened by debt, which is increasing. Last week, Congress voted to raise the debt ceiling to allow us to be in debt up to $14 trillion by the end of the year, as opposed to a little over 12 where we are now. Our deficit is about $1.6 trillion in our country. We are spending money like there's no tomorrow, like we have a blank check, or like we have a credit card without any limits. And I think those of you who run households understand that when the going gets tough, when you don't have the same economic opportunity that you've had, when you don't have as much money coming in, you've got to tighten your belt. Maybe you don't go to the movie, or you don't go out for dinner. You've got to do those basic things, and that's what we need to do in government. So it seemed to me that there weren't enough business people in government with enough common sense to understand that you can't spend your way out of debt, and you certainly can't spend more than you make. I just don't understand the economic principles that seem to be guiding our country and our government. Politics cannot be the same as usual. If we keep sending the same politics to Washington, we're going to get the same politics out. We have to send different viewpoints, outsiders from the political world. I'm not a career politician, but I am a businesswoman. I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, and I've been married to my husband Vince for 43 years. I've built a successful company from the ground up where it was two people sharing a desk in the basement of a house. We've gone from bankruptcy, where we lost everything, to rebuilding, to a company that is today traded on the New York Stock Exchange under the symbol WWE for World Wrestling Entertainment. A company that I'm incredibly proud of. Incredibly proud to have served as the CEO of that company. Of taking that business and growing it from a northeastern regional company to a global brand that is now seen in over 140 countries and translated in 35 languages. The skills of a CEO include leadership, management, balancing a budget, executing a business plan, negotiating contracts, and really pushing for consensus when you can, and when you can't, fighting for what you know is the right thing to do. So as a United States Senator, I will bring those skills to the table and fight to represent each and every one of you in the state of Connecticut to be your voice without any special interest obligations, because I'm accepting no special interest money in my campaign. I'm funding it myself. I'm not taking any PAC money.
Thank you.
So I thank you very much.
One of the reasons the Democrats won control of the Congress 5+ years ago was because the Republicans strayed from the Republican philosophy. So our first question tonight to the candidates is, what is the Republican philosophy, or what should that philosophy, we begin with you?
It's certainly the philosophy that I espouse, which is small government, get government out of our lives, out of our ordinary daily lives. Have conservative spending policies in Washington. Protect the people of our country. And I do believe that we should have lower taxes, and I think that's what Republicans are, lower taxes, but also coupled with lower taxes must be reduction in spending. It's one of the reasons I think that the first tax cuts were not successful, is because while the cuts were in place, spending still continued to be out of control. So as far as I'm concerned, the Republican philosophy and what I espouse is smaller government, less government is better. Keep spending in conservative measures what we need to spend to grow jobs, to get our economy back on track. And I do believe that, the Republicans are for business development and business growth. And with 70% of the jobs being created by small businesses in this country, we have to keep money in the pockets of small business owners and let government stay out of their way, whether it's through tax cuts, tax holidays, and some of the things that Rob has mentioned. I also believe in with the expenses being written off quickly. I also believe they should not have a cap. But we have to look at all of these stimulus for small businesses, not in the form of a stimulus package, but keeping money in the pockets of small businesses so that they can grow in a free market, free enterprise system, which is what made this country so great. Let it flourish. It will grow and it will be a sustained recovery because those jobs will be created in the private sector. They will not be government-created temporary jobs.
Let's talk about health care. The President of the United States is revisiting the issue. He did in his interview on Sunday night before the Super Bowl. And he says he wants to sit down with Republicans and hear their specific ideas on health care reform.
Health care should certainly not be run by the government. And I agree with Peter that anything that the government runs, I don't think runs very well. Rob certainly put on the table the three tenets that I think have been proposed by the Republican Party to start looking at health care costs. And those are issues that need to be taken very seriously. And we should look at them, for how we need to implement them and to take costs out immediately. We can do that. Healthcare reform should not be done in a political environment. It needs to be done on a bipartisan basis with good, solid debates with senators and Congress on both sides of the issue. The way this health care policy was brought to bear, backroom deals, backdoor deals, the whole issue, with Nebraska was just, I think, talking about holding your nose, as Peter said. That was just an awful issue, and I think that brought to bear to this country what was really going on with health care. That reform that was being pushed through was done on nothing but a political deadline. It wasn't being done properly. It was a bill this high. I do not believe, as I sit here, it would have been deficit neutral. It would have cost us more money. And if it's implemented today the way it was pushed through, it will be much more expensive for our country. So let's look at taking health care costs out. One of the things that WWE did when I was the CEO was a three-tiered health program, and WWE self-insured. So we had an administrator for it. But there were three tiers. There was the young group that came in, they didn't want to buy the expensive policy. They opted out. They had a lot of flexible savings accounts. There was the middle tier, just families starting, and then there was the older tier who wanted more coverage for hospital and for catastrophic. So they had options of how much they would pay on the copay system. And I think that's what private enterprise can do if you give options and allow people to have more control and more accountability for their own health care expenses.
Linda, thank you. And Linda McMahon, Peter Smith, thank you very much.